Hello, my name is Elizabeth Griffin. I'm a graduate student here at Syracuse University in the School of Information Studies. I'm representing various women's organizations across campus, including It Girls Alumni and WIC-Grad. I'm also on the planning committee for the Syracuse Women's Empowerment and Engagement Partnership, or SWEEP. Today we're welcoming back Jill Teitjen, who was our keynote speaker at our International Women's Day celebration on campus. Jill is an award-winning engineer, an author, and an advocate for women's empowerment. We're honored to have you back.
I'm so pleased to be here.
So you have a fascinating story. Would you mind telling us how you got started in engineering?
I would love to. I grew up in Virginia, the oldest of 4 children. We knew from being very young that we were going to go to college. And I had my heart set on attending the University of Virginia. And I was very fortunate, but by the time I was ready to attend the University of Virginia had decided to accept women, actually under court order of the United States District Court, and admitted women for the first time as undergraduate students in the fall of 1970. I entered in the fall of 1972 as a math major. Nobody had told me, not even my PhD engineer father, that I had the aptitudes and abilities and I should consider engineering. But I figured it out in my first semester. I transferred over to engineering effective the start of my second year, and then I called home to tell my parents that I was transferring. My mother said no. My father was very excited, but I was just calling to tell them that I had transferred as I'd already made that decision.
So what was your early career like?
My career started in the electric utility industry in North Carolina with a company that was then called Duke Power Company. And I've loved being in the utility industry for the 40 years of my career. I learned early on in my career that there weren't very many women in engineering. I knew there weren't very many women in engineering at the University of Virginia, but I thought it was because that UVA hadn't accepted women prior. I didn't realize that there weren't women in general in engineering. And I joined the Society of Women Engineers in 1979 and became very active in recruiting more women into engineering careers. And being in the electric utility industry was a perfect fit for me. It's been a great career.
So having such tremendous success as an engineer, that journey really inspired you to be an advocate for women's empowerment. Can you tell us how you've done that?
Well, it's very interesting how it evolves. And what I like to say in my talks is a Thomas Edison quote. Most people don't recognize opportunity because it comes dressed in overalls and looks like work. And so for me, starting in 1979, I was actually active in encouraging girls to pursue what is now called STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math, and women to excel in their careers. And then in 1987, I started researching historical women for an outreach program for the Society of Women Engineers, an essay contest on great women in engineering and science. In 1988, I started nominating women for national awards. And so it just kind of snowballed. One thing led to another, until I had written, it's now actually 6 books, including Her Story, A Timeline of the Women Who Changed America, recognizing women's accomplishments in history which are invisible.
Do you have a favorite story from the book that you love to share?
I have many favorite stories, but of course I have my most favorite story. And that is in 1988, when I started nominating women for national awards, that was for what's called the National Medal of Science and the National Medal of Technology. And in 1988, when I first learned about these awards, because I hadn't ever heard of them before, the first women that I nominated weren't the right women, with the right qualifications. But then I realized if I did a good enough job on her nomination, that Admiral Grace Murray Hopper would receive the National Medal of Technology. I worked on that nomination for 2 years. And in 1991, I was at the White House Rose Garden to receive Admiral Hopper's National Medal of Technology. Admiral Hopper developed the computer compiler. That's the computer software that allows us to talk to the computer in our languages instead of the zeros and ones that the computer understands. So the computer compiler enabled all of the digital technology that we have today. The iPads, the iPods, the PCs, everything, all of them. And she also developed the first English-based language called Flowmatic. Love to take credit for finding the first computer bug. It was a moth. And so she was also my first successful nomination to the National Women's Hall of Fame, which has also been life-determining for me. And
Wow.
so Admiral Hopper is it's my favorite of the favorites because really she was the catalyst for everything that came after.
Wow, that is so inspirational. Congratulations. I know that Syracuse University sends representatives to the Grace Hopper Conference every year, and they always come back really inspired and ready to empower women. So if you could leave our viewers with one final thought or one piece of advice, what would that be?
My final thought is that I'm not extraordinary. The women who are in my book, the women who I nominated for awards, they don't feel that they are extraordinary. They believe in what they are doing, and I believe the 3 keys for success are passion, determination, and persistence, and that it only takes one person to change the world.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.